Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a review of my GSG STG-44 rifle. This is a clone of a very historic rifle from World War II. It's a lot of fun to shoot, and I've had it for about 5 years now when they first kind of hit the market. I'm really looking forward to the Palmetto State Armory clone of this same rifle. They are going to produce their own version of the STG-44. It's going to be available in 4 calibers. It's really going to be interesting. And I think their copy will be a little bit closer to the original. However, the original was a submachine gun, was full auto, and obviously that's not available to us. But I'm real intrigued about what Palmetto State is going to bring to the market in their historic guns line. I think they're going to have a whole series of those. But for now, let's delve into this rifle and I'll show you what makes it tick. Okay, I'm not going to go into an extensive history about the STG-44. I feel like there are other YouTube channels and historian firearms enthusiasts that would vastly outweigh my knowledge of the history of the rifle. But it is worth mentioning, since this is a historic clone, what this is about. GSG is a company called German Sports Guns, and they make a series of rifles, mostly in .22 caliber, that mimic other rifles a bit. Before they made the historic line, GSG produced another series of 22s. And again, I'm not going to get into all of that, but they are a German company. They are imported. And you'll see on this one their stamps and markings identifying made in Germany right there. The STG-44 was the first battlefield assault rifle. And when I say assault rifle, that comes from the name itself. Basically, STG stands for Sturmgewehr, and Gewehr is German just for rifle. The name translates to roughly and loosely to storm rifle or assault rifle. What is an assault rifle? Well, to the Germans, that was an intermediate round, somewhere in between pistol round and battle rifle round, an intermediate cartridge. And the original STG-44 was chambered in 8mm Kurtz, or 7.92 by 33 designation. And that was in between pistol rounds and battle rifle rounds as far as performance goes. But the STG-44 was a select fire rifle, and it could be selected to semi-automatic or full auto fire. And this was considered a stopgap. The Germans had already mass-produced machine pistols, like the MP40, and they already mass-produced large, fully automatic machine guns like the MG42, which were very effective on the battlefield. But this rifle filled the gap in between a large, fully automatic machine gun, belt-fed, and all of that, versus a machine pistol, which was only effective at very close ranges. So diving in here with this gun, the look is really authentic on the surface level, okay? And what I mean by surface level, obviously the internals and the way this gun works is way different than the original STG was produced. The original STG 44 was made out of stamped steel, and the only stamped steel on this gun is the forearm section. This is a stamped steel fitting right here. The rest of it is kind of a poly resin. It's heavy. The weight of this, it's very heavy. probably somewhere around 8 pounds or so. But this is not stamped steel. Actually, this fitting right here is steel, and you can tell just a little bit in the sheen of the coloring here where it meets at the back of the stock. The magazine is also plastic, and the original, of course, did not have a window. This magazine does have a window where you can see your rounds, and that's a 25 round magazine. The chamber opens, as you can see here, and there's a dust cover, a little bit like the AR-15 and other rifles, just because you don't want dirt working its way into that mechanism, especially on the real deal where you've got a full auto. You've got a lot of pressure and you've got a lot of friction in there. You don't want dirt and debris to cause any additional friction in the mechanism. Okay guys, I've got my hands available now too, so that I can show you a little better the workings of the GSG STG-44. Working our way over from the right side, I've already shown you the ejection port, the dust cover. We're going to flip over now. The charging handle is on the left side, right here. So we can lock the charging handle up and open, and that'll open the bolt on this side. And the bolt will stay open in that manner, as you see here, until we drop that charging handle. Okay. The magazine release is a small button on the left side right here. And the way that is operated, it's a little different from what we're used to with most modern firearms. That button is depressed with the thumb. So when we're firing, and we're unloaded here, just FYI, I already checked, there's no ammo anywhere around me. So when we're firing this and we hit an empty magazine, we're going to use our thumb up here to depress that switch. And the magazine should just drop a little bit more freely down. This one's giving me some trouble, as you see there. But rather than having a magazine release up close to the trigger on a lot of modern firearms, this is a thumb release. So that's how it operates. You'll see here the safe and fire switch. You've already saw me flip over to safe. The original select fire version of this would have the full auto switch down here. Okay. Okay. All right. What I'm going to do now is show you the internal workings of the rifle really quick while I have both hands. So I've removed the magazine and the bolt is closed. To take this rifle down, there's a pin back here on the stock. The pin, you just drive this through. It has a small spring retainer on one side. We're just going to drive that pin through, pull it out. You see that little retaining spring on there, that little pin to keep that in place. The back of the stock will now slide off the receiver. And now the rifle will pivot forward. You want to hold your hand pretty close to the back when you pivot forward to take it down, or else you're going to have some springs flying across the room. Like that. So the bottom's going to pivot away. There's your main spring. And here's the rest of it. This is just a little plastic block, basically a filler. And this is your 22 bolt. I don't own any other GSG guns, but I'll bet you money that their 22 bolt system is pretty much the same on all of them. You see you've got a recoil spring right here built into the mechanism. Okay, and that's your takedown for cleaning. The bottom of the receiver that pivots is held in place by a pin right here. It's a hex bolt. So this can be removed if need be, but I've never had a reason to take that off while I'm cleaning. And you can see on your lower receiver, there's your hammer. So that's pretty much it. And I'll show you, I'll go ahead and put it back together. First thing we're going to do is put in our bolt, our 22 caliber bolt and assembly into that. Let's see. So I'm going to let that go down. I'm going to take that little filler, that little plastic filler piece. Actually, it goes this way because the spring. So that's going to go in there. Your main spring. Go right in there like that. So there you go. Just hold that in, pivot back up, and we're back in business. Should have full operation. I'll go ahead and take the stock, put that back on there. Little retaining pin, we're going to put that back in. It goes from the side over here closest to me. I'm just going to take some thumb pressure and push that in. One is that this stamped steel forearm does come off. Or at least it used to. There we go. The stamped steel forearm does come off. And you can see your barrel in there. There's GSG's steel barrel. And it's funny because it's kind of hidden in all of this replicated fake nonsense. On the real GSG, of course, this top piece you see right here, this would have been the gas system. It would have had a bleed valve up here when the rounds are fired. And this system would have been very similar to the AK-47 system. The Soviets used these rifles when they produced the AK-47. It was kind of a forerunner to that. They had this technology, and Kalashnikov improved the design a little and changed some things. But the AK-47 is also an intermediate style of battlefield rifle, same as this, and the manufacturing was similar. Stamped steel, loose tolerances. One of the reasons the AK-47 is so reliable is the loose tolerances, so that it can get dirty and still fire. And another feature about the GSG version of the STG-44 is that it does have a threaded barrel. It comes with a barrel nut. That's actually not simulated. The barrel nut can be removed. Just like that. on the stock, you will see there's a little trap door on the end. That would have been to contain a little oiler for maintaining the gun, keeping it lubricated and oiled. And you'll see the GSG does include that as well, which would have been on the original. The sights on the GSG STG-44 mimic the actual STG-44s. You'd have a hooded front V sight, and then here's your rear. Let's see if I can get a sight picture for you. It might be a little tough to get a... But there we go. The rear sight is adjustable for elevation, as the original was. You'll see on the left a thumb turn to adjust for windage. And this is the left side of the rifle. Seems like in most of the shots I've been holding it from this side. It does say Schmeisser on the side. Hugo Schmeisser was the original developer of the STG-44. It was my understanding that the Germans, their hierarchy, which was ultimately Hitler, was not overly enthusiastic about having an intermediary between the full auto heavy machine gun versus the machine pistol. They kind of had to sneak this one through a little bit. And its original designation was MP-44 rather than STG-44. The MP for machine pistol, probably a little bit of a sneaky way of getting this out, getting this approved to the battlefield. There's your GSG STG-44 markings on the side. It is imported by American Tactical. And you've already seen the magazine release button is here. The safe and fire switch is here. And this is a non-functional dummy, but the full auto select fire was actually a button here. They've replicated the look of it, but it doesn't work. It's just a dummy button. And that wraps it up for my review of this rifle. Again, it's a great plinking rifle. It's fun to shoot. When I take it to the range, it always gets a lot of attention. Probably people hoping that I've got the real deal, which is very rare and very expensive. And you'd have to have a ATF license if you did own one for the full auto. But it's, it is what it is. If you're into historic firearms, and you know that I am, if you follow my YouTube channel, I have lots of replicas, mostly black powder. But I do appreciate these as well. I would love to have some more World War II era firearms or replicas in my collection. I'd like to have an M1 carbine, an M1 Grand. I'd like to have a Springfield 1908. I'd like to have a lot of different things. So as time goes by, maybe I'll be able to add to my collection. I mentioned the gas system. The original gas system on the STG-44 was adjustable. This was a threaded bolt. This is of course a replica dummy on this rifle, but I didn't mention that these were actually adjustable. Depending on the type of ammo you're firing or using things like suppressors, things like that, this was your adjustment on the gas valve. So this is just a final look. I'm just running down. You can see the rear sight from the side if I didn't demonstrate that well enough earlier. And there's the charging handle. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel.